atmosphere that it was, and then leaving that stadium being so excited, knowing that we were going to Atlanta,
right?
Getting on the train with the singing and everything, just being like so amped up. I mean, that was like the greatest moment for me. Was that game. I mean, it was awesome. I can't say any other moment during the year was better than that one.
Right.
Now, the playoff game would have been better if we had won.
Sure,
but we didn't. Or Atlanta would have been better, but we didn't win.
Right.
So, Dave.
You know, that would have been one of my moments. I was kind of thinking about a few of them. There's been obviously quite a few. I too would pick a moment that I was at. So if I wasn't going to jump on your bandwagon, which I totally agree with, that was an awesome atmosphere, an awesome game, and the excitement afterwards was just great. But I'm going to go I'll go with Ozzy. Well, your pick for MVP. I'll go with way back in May, first goal of the season first goal at Allianz Field, period. I think early in the game it was against NYFC in like the 12th or 13th minute. The place just went nuts. It erupted. It was our first time in Allianz Field, and to get that kind of a moment for Ozzy, I just loved it. I mean, it was a fantastic way to kick off Allianz Field.
It was.
So,
David?
Another good one. So I decided to go with when we clinched the playoffs.
Okay.
I was in the Wonderwall. I don't even remember who scored the goal anymore. I can't even think of who it was. I mean, it was pure, like, emotional elation. I mean, beer, water, everything was flying all over the place. You know, obviously the smoke was going. I mean, it was just incredible. And being able to be in the Wonderwall and sing Wonderwall that game, I mean, it was... Yeah, I mean, I can't think of... I mean, I would totally agree with you, Tony. I thought Portland's atmosphere was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first goal of Allianz was fantastic. But for me, I don't think I'd trade that moment at all for anything.
Yeah, especially being in the Wonderwall. Was Johnny with you for that?
I mean, less the birth of my children.
Okay.
But,
Let's
maybe
make
my
sure you
marriage
make
too,
sure you
but-
make sure you say that. So those are our MVPs, LVP, Gold Medals Award winners, and our moments of the year. So just to give everybody a heads up, just because the season ended does not mean we won't be doing podcasts.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll be doing one every pretty much 2 weeks like we normally do. Of course, in the off season, we'll be talking about trades, pickups, releases, all kinds of stuff going on.
Right.
And our thing this off season is to get some other people on our podcast, some new guests. Hopefully, do some podcast cross pollination with people. So make sure you keep listening to us all year round. We're going to head to the break right now. Unless you guys have anything else to say.
You know, if we're more or less going to wrap up soccer here.
Yeah.
So I would like to give a shout out to the NWSL National Women's League Soccer final is actually going on. It will start here in the next few minutes. As we record this, you can't look forward to watching it, of course, but I just want to give a shout out to North Carolina and Chicago.
Okay.
Competing in that final.
Awesome.
And then hats off to Christian Pulisic.
Oh, yes.
Hat trick yesterday with Chelsea against Burnley. Youngest in Chelsea's history to get a hat trick in top flight.
Dude.
He's been working really hard to make it different. I mean, make the team. So, huge moment for him to get his first goal and then his second goal and then third goal.
Yeah,
especially somebody like him who's obviously in this country under a very large microscope.
Yes. Exactly. And, he had a terrible international break. I think it's positive. It's positive for U.S. soccer to have a player at a team like Chelsea.
Oh, yeah.
And, be successful. So, hopefully he can keep that up.
Yeah. So when we come back from the break, guys, we're going to have a couple of stories to talk about. We have a story about a guy who can brew alcohol in his stomach. And I also have a story about a guy who remodeled a house that was not his. So we'll be talking about those two stories when we come back from the break. everybody. We're still at Under Pressure Brewing Company. And I forgot to mention that this place is actually right by, I can never remember the name of that damn bar and restaurant with the sausages.
New Bohemia.
New Bohemia. It's right by New Bohemia.
Oh, right. Yeah, it is.
New Bohemia is like maybe a half a mile this way.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close. It's kind of tucked away in a little kind of industrial area.
Well, and
It was hard to recognize driving in, actually. I was from not being here before.
Oh, wait. The strip mall is at New Bohemia, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the strip mall. So it's west of the strip mall.
Yeah.
And back on Boone. So great place. Stop by. The people who own this place are awesome people. And they have some great beers and a great atmosphere. And even though it's kind of quiet, it is Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not Saturday. So
I mean, this place, if you were into reading,
yeah,
a Saturday afternoon, you get a beer, you get a book, you sit down, no one's going to be around you.
I think it'd be a great place to play like table games. If I was really into, like Nels and his brothers are into table games, and that'd be a great place to just come out and you and your buddies play a table game.
Yeah, you know, if you have kids and you want to leave them with your significant other and have silence.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon here looks like it'd be a good place to do it.
It's a good place. So we got all the soccer talk out of the way in the first half, so now we're just going to have some fun things to talk about. Now, boys, I'll give you guys the option. Do you want to talk about Stomach Brewer guy first, or guy remodels house that isn't his first?
Boy, that's a tough call.
Which one's funnier in your opinion?
I think they're both funny.
Since we're at Under Pressure at a brewery, let's start with the man who brewed beer in his gut, so to speak.
Now, so this guy, his stomach turned into a mobile brewery where alcohol fermented inside him when he consumed carbohydrates after a regular course of antibiotics. So what happened is he had it's a dangerous situation. It's very rare. It's called ABS, which is auto brewery syndrome. This 46-year-old was a healthy guy. He suffered a thumb injury, and he was given antibiotics. And 1 week after finishing medication, the man, who was only ever a social drinker, reported experiencing uncharacteristic personality changes such as brain fog, depression, and aggressive behavior. So the doctors initially diagnosed the man with depression, gave him antidepressants. It was only when he was pulled over by the police, the officers suspicious when he was drink driving, that the true nature of his illness became clear. Tests showed the man had a blood alcohol level of 200 milligrams per.
This is definitely the UK, isn't it?
Deciliter. No, actually, this happened in North Carolina.
And I'm reading off of.
He's reading
out of UK.
Oh, okay.
I think he's reading. An
I was going to say because you said drink
Sun.
driving. I was like,
Drunk
Americans
driving,
don't refer to it as drink
which
driving.
is the equivalent to having
failed a drink drive test, is what they
having
call
drank approximately 10 alcoholic drinks. He is found to be confused, disorientated, has impaired balance, and slurred speech.
I get a little confused after 10 drinks. There's no doubt about it.
And it was hard to believe because the police said they what the hell? And the guy said, I haven't been drinking. His ABS was finally revealed when the man sought treatment at a clinic in Ohio, where medical tests showed his readings were normal, but brewer's yeast was found in his poop.
Well, yeah.
Much.
Did you mention the fact that he was pulled over, he was driving, obviously, and the equivalent of 10 drinks? That's significant. But he refused a breathalyzer.
Oh, he did.
He refused a breathalyzer, so he was taken under arrest to a hospital.
Oh,
basically,
there you go.
And that's where they discovered his levels. Yeah.
So to put it simply, this was happening in the man's gut. He was in brewer's yeast, unknown to him or anyone else. They believe his symptoms were triggered by exposure to antibiotics, which in turn resulted in a change in his gastrointestinal microbiome, allowing fungal overgrowth. He was treated at the university. They gave him probiotics to reduce the fungus and help regulate the man's gut. For years, no one believed him. And I saw another story where he actually, I was telling you guys, he had kind of a relapse when he ate some pizza when he was on this stuff. Yeah. And then another story I saw said he has gradually been able to reincorporate carbohydrates back into his diet. So, I guess this is a bad thing to have,
right?
But could you imagine eating a pizza and then getting drunk just from eating the pizza?
Well, I think it's funny because you said that it's a serious problem. ABS is a serious problem. Then you say it's auto brewery syndrome, and I'm like, yeah, I couldn't help but laugh, even though you said it's a serious problem. As soon as you say the name,
auto brewery syndrome,
it's like, what? That's
So he could brew beer in his stomach.
Well, yeah, it's free beer.
Yeah, it's free beer.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Being somebody that's not into chemistry or anything like that.
Yeah.
You take an antibiotic, it kills off the good microbiome that's in your stomach, and then it creates the fungus, which then creates the yeast. I guess that makes sense, but I would never think of that if someone didn't tell me it.
That's why they tell you if you're taking antibiotics, you should be taking a probiotic on top of it. So I always do,
right?
Because then it helps it kind of stay where it's supposed to be. Right. This guy obviously was been doing that. He was just walking around drunk every time he ate carbs.
So I mean, you would think then that this guy, if he keeps a regular regimen of probiotics, it would go away.
It would go, and that's what he's saying.
And he can continue to eat carbs.
Well, he's having to reintroduce the carbs little by little by little. But I couldn't imagine not being able to eat carbs because I would get drunk off of them.
Well, I mean, there's obviously like celiac disease if you're talking about like gluten or something like that. Where
that's different. I mean, you're getting sick because of that. You're not getting drunk because of that.
I guess I'd rather get drunk than physically sick. But
think how cheap of a party you could have.
Right.
Instead of getting beer or whatever, you could just get a bunch of bread.
Grab a frozen pizza for $3, and there you go.
Yeah, you could have, instead of a flight of beer, you have a flight of bread.
Go to the bakery and get some bread.
Go to the bakery. You're just getting loaves of bread at the bakery.
People be like, what the hell is
this is how I drink, guys. This is it right here. So the other thing, too, is, I always think of, like, pastas and breads as sopping up the alcohol content and helping you, if you're going to go out for a night drinking, you always have some carbs and some stuff that'll fill you up. This guy is the complete opposite.
Right.
He could pre-party by eating a loaf of bread,
It's true.
I mean, that's the deal. True. So, again, bad situation for this guy, but...
So, what happens if you drink beer?
I don't know,
because there are a lot of carbs in beer.
Yeah, I mean, probably
it's
more
not
drunk.
Excessive, but it's a lot.
Wouldn't you give me more drunk? I would suppose.
You would think so. I mean, obviously, if you compare like a slice of bread to a beer, I mean, depending on what beer you're having, there's going to be like if you're talking about a Miller Lite, there might only be a few grams compared to 50 grams if you're having pizza or whatever. But
so you pretty much if you drink a beer, you pretty much double the amount of alcohol.
Well, it's interesting. You would get most likely, if I don't know how this works, it's never happened to me, fortunately, but you would think you would almost get less drunk off one beer than you would off like a slice of bread, which would be interesting. So maybe you'd be okay having a beer or two as long as you didn't have the carbs to go with it.
Sure.
So there goes the pizza and beer. But,
I mean, so I wonder what he had to eat that got him in that trouble.
Well, I'm sure he was probably out somewhere at a pizza parlor or whatever and ate a bunch of carbs, I guess.
I kind of picture him being at he went out to Olive Garden and had all you can eat.
Oh, the all-you pasta?
Breadsticks.
Oh, yeah. The breadsticks.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Oh, those are carb bombs right there.
Because, that's a lot of alcohol.
I heard they're never ending at Olive Garden, too.
That's really?
Yeah. You can get as much as you want.
Well, there you go. Maybe he did that.
Yeah. Huh.
This is a serious medical condition.
I mean, I guess it could be.
So, anywho, I'm glad he's back on the...
He's on the mend.
On the mend, and they figured out what was wrong with him.
God.
He can go back to eating carbs again, so...
Yeah.
I mean, to finish this up, though, wouldn't that be kind of that's kind of a diet thing? I mean, not eating carbs is the whole...
It's a keto diet.
Keto diet.
Or at least,
Yeah, so he probably lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he likes meat.
Because he had to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a shitty day if you don't.
So, ladies, if you're looking to lose some weight, get on this ABS. Because then you couldn't have carbs anymore.
So here's the question. Can you get on? I mean, would you literally just have to get bit by a cat, so you have to take antibiotics?
I'm thinking.
And then make sure not to take any probiotics.
Yeah.
And hope for the best.
Hope for the best, yeah.
Now, they do describe it as an extremely rare situation.
Yeah,
so
it
don't worry.
Don't worry. It's never going to happen, but yeah.
Well, it could.
But, yeah.
And we're not suggesting under any circumstances that you should go out and do something that requires you to get antibiotics.
Don't get bit by a cat. Yeah, if you can avoid it.
Do that.
Please.
No.
Yeah. Let's just...
I'm not going to try it next time.
Let's just throw that legal